The morning sky over Montecito carried a soft golden glow as the sun climbed over the horizon. Meghan had been awake earlier than usual, pacing near the kitchen counter with coffee growing cold in her hand. Harry noticed her anxiety from the staircase. "Another sleepless night?" he asked softly. Meghan turned to him. "You know why?" Harry nodded, rubbing his eyes. For weeks, whispers from London had reached their quiet American home, whispers about a possible shift in the UK government's stance on his security arrangements, something he had been fighting for since he stepped away from royal duties. Then today the letter arrived, a government seal, a review, granted, a beginning of something that had seemed impossible. Harry held the envelope with both hands. Meghan watched silently, holding her breath. The world outside felt still, like the pause before a tide returns. As the prince unfolded the letter, his eyes moved carefully through each line. Then he exhaled a slow, deep, emotional release. "They're reviewing it," he whispered. "Officially, it's real." Meghan's shoulders dropped in relief. "So, this means—" "It means," Harry said, glancing at a photo of Archie and Lilibet on the counter, "that going back home might finally be safe for them." The air felt warmer. Hope had entered the room, for the first time in years. Harry stepped outside into the backyard where the California breeze carried the scent of lavender. He stared at the sprawling mountains, but his thoughts drifted across the ocean. Back to London. Back to the palace walls he had walked through as a child. Back to the crowds that once cheered his name, and the cameras that never left him alone. "Are we ready for this?" Meghan asked, stepping beside him. Harry didn't answer immediately. His past was a heavy suitcase, worn and dented, always with him. "I don't know if I'm ready," he finally said, "but I know the kids deserve to meet that part of their family." On safe terms, Meghan nodded. She had long understood that despite everything, the interviews, the distance, the headlines, Harry's heart held to homes. One he created with her, and one he inherited. "We'll do this together," she said. Harry looked at her, grateful. But he also knew that no matter how far he had run from his old world, it would always find its way back to him. And now, he would have to face it, not alone, but with his family, in London. King Charles sat in a study at Clarence House, reviewing official documents. He paused when an aide entered. "Your Majesty," the aide said, "the decision regarding the Duke of Sussex was delivered this morning." Charles lifted his eyes, and "a full review of his security appeal has been approved." The king leaned back in his chair, letting out a breath he didn't know he'd been holding. "Good," he murmured. "Very good." He stood slowly, gazing at a framed photo of Harry as a boy, red-cheeked, smiling, carefree. A version of his son he hadn't seen in many years. Maybe, Charles thought, this would open a door, a small one, but even small doors can lead to big reconciliations. A soft sadness crossed the king's face as he whispered into the quiet room, "Bring him home, safely." That night in Montecito, Harry and Meghan sat by a crackling fireplace while their children slept. A warm amber glow filled the room, but tension lingered. Meghan broke the silence first. "What are you thinking?" Harry hesitated. "If the review goes in our favor, Dad will want to see them. And you?" she asked gently. "I want to see him too," Harry admitted, "but I'm afraid of what going back will reopen." Meghan placed a hand on his. "We've built a life of our own here. But healing doesn't happen in hiding. It happens when you face what hurt you." Harry looked at her. Meghan had endured her own battles with the royal world, some wounds still raw. Yet she stood strong. "You're not obligated to come," he said carefully. Meghan shook her head immediately. "No, if you go, I go. We go as a family. That's non-negotiable." Harry felt his throat tighten. They had walked through storms together, and she was still beside him, refusing to let him face another, alone. Outside, the wind rustled the trees. Harry glanced at the night sky. "Then we go home," he said. The next morning, headlines exploded across UK news sites. Prince Harry's security case. Reviewed, return possible. Could the Sussex children visit the king? A royal reunion on the horizon. Paparazzi lenses pointed toward Montecito. Reporters gathered at Heathrow, waiting for something, anything, that hinted at the prince's return. Some supported him, some criticized him, all wanted the same thing. A story, but they didn't know that the real story was unfolding quietly inside a California home, where two parents were packing small suitcases with clothes, books, soft toys, and the love they hoped would protect their children from the world. Archie pressed his face against the airplane window. "Is that England, Daddy?" Harry smiled. "Not yet, buddy. Soon." The private jet hummed softly as it crossed the Atlantic. Meghan rocked Lilibet gently, humming a soothing tune. The little girl clutched her stuffed rabbit, a gift from her grandmother, Doria. Harry watched his family, two innocent souls unaware of the history they were flying toward, and a woman strong enough to face a world that once tried to break her. He squeezed Meghan's hand. "We'll be okay," she whispered. Harry hoped she was right. When the plane touched down in London, Harry felt his chest tighten. The air carried the familiar scent of damp grass and winter chill. As they stepped out, a small fleet of discreetly assigned security officers waited for them. The first sign that the review was already being taken seriously. Welcome to London, Your Royal High, the officer caught himself. Welcome, sir. Harry nodded, appreciating the respect, even without the title. Meghan wrapped her coat tightly. Archie held her hand. Lilibet clung to Harry's shoulder. Flashbacks flickered in Harry's mind, his mother stepping off planes. Cameras flashing, reporters shouting. A world lost, a world regained, a world he had walked away from. But today, he returned. On his own terms, for his children, for his father, for closure. The gates of Clarence House opened slowly. King Charles stood inside the courtyard, wearing a long coat, hands clasped, eyes moist with a mixture of anticipation and fear. Harry stepped forward with Lilibet in his arms. Archie peeked from behind Meghan's leg. For a moment, the world disappeared. Just a grandfather, just a son, just a family that had lived too long with distance. Harry cleared his throat. Dad. Charles's voice cracked. Welcome home, Harry. His eyes drifted to the children. And these, Charles whispered, kneeling carefully, must be my little ones. Archie smiled shyly. Lilibet looked at him with wide blue eyes, eyes that mirrored Harry's childhood. Charles's own eyes shimmered. He asked, reaching out. Harry nodded. Charles gently held Lilibet's tiny hand, and the little girl giggled, a pure innocent sound that felt like sunlight piercing through fog. Meghan watched quietly. This moment, despite everything, was something she wanted for her children, a piece of their heritage, a connection to where their bloodline began, a chapter rewritten. For once, the world's noise faded, and only family remained. As the family entered Clarence House, memories washed over Harry, the hallway where he used to race William, room where his mother read bedtime stories, the window from which he watched storms roll over. London. Meghan felt the weight too, not from nostalgia, but from history and expectation, yet she walked with dignity, steady and composed. Charles led them to the sitting room. The fireplace crackled warmly. I'm glad you came, Charles said, voice low. Harry sat across from him. It's time we talked. Agreed. The conversation that followed wasn't easy. There were apologies. Subtle and unspoken. Unanswered questions. Pain acknowledged, if not, erased, and a shared understanding that healing was slow but possible. Meghan added only when necessary, offering clarity without conflict. By the time tea was served, something had shifted. Walls had lowered. Not fallen, but lowered. Enough for light to enter. Meanwhile, the world buzzed with speculation. Have they reunited? Is the rift ending? Is this the beginning of a royal return? Paparazzi hovered near gates. Journalists debated on TV. Social media exploded with #tags. But inside, far from the noise, Archie sat on the floor playing with a toy soldier Charles had given him. Lilibet crawled into her grandfather's lap. Meghan and Harry watched quietly from the sofa, and for a precious moment, the royal world with all its politics, duties, conflicts, and traditions shrank into the background. All that mattered was this room, this family, this chance. When the day ended, Charles walked them to the door. Come again tomorrow, he said softly. There's more I'd like to talk about. Harry nodded. We will. Meghan smiled politely. Thank you for having us. Charles touched her hand gently. Your family. Meghan's eyes softened, a gesture she hadn't expected. Outside, the winter air bit at their cheeks, but Harry felt warm. For the first time in years, he felt something he had long buried: belonging. As they climbed into the car, Meghan leaned her head on Harry's shoulder. You did well, she whispered. So did you, he replied. She smiled. So did he. Harry looked back at Clarence House as the car drove off. Maybe this was the beginning. Not of going back, not of repeating the past, but of building a new bridge. Carefully, slowly, honestly, a bridge between the life he left, * and the life he built.